This is part 3 of the Module 1 notes in the slides. So this is comparing sections in HTML4 and HTML5. So it looks like there's a page at the top, there's a header. I think this is just how the layout is. So there's a header at the top, footer at the bottom, nav on the left side, a side on the right side, and in the middle there's section and article. That's HTML5 and HTML4. They have div ID points to header, div at the top, at the bottom div ID points to footer, div on the left, div ID points to nav. On the right, div ID points to a side. In the middle, div ID section, and then div ID article. So I said it wasn't used for a very long time, so I'm not sure why they're showing it to us. Okay, so now there's a bunch more things. Tables here with a lot of stuff on it. So using grouping elements. So HTML grouping elements. So the element is block quote. Description contains content that is coded from another source, often with a citation and often indented on the page. So the next element is div. The description contains a generic grouping of elements within the document. Next element below that is DL. So it marks a description list containing one or more DT elements, with each followed by one or more DT elements. So DL stands for description list. So stepping back for a sec, so div element contains a generic grouping of elements within the document, so that one's kind of confusing. DL so marks a description list containing one or more DT elements, with each followed by one or more DT elements. So below that they have DT element. Contains a single term from a description list. Then DD element contains a description or definition associated with a term from a description list. So below that is figure, and as description contains an illustration, photo, diagram, or similar object that is cross-referenced elsewhere in the document. So DT contains a description or definition associated with a term from the description list. These are kind of confusing. So then the next element, the next grouping element is it's actually figure. So it contains an illustration, photo, diagram, or similar object that is cross-referenced elsewhere in the document HTML5. So fig caption, next grouping element, fig caption, contains the caption associated with the figure HTML5. Next grouping element is HR, so it marks a thematic break such as scene change or a transition to a new topic, often displayed as a horizontal rule. So the next grouping element below that is main. So marks the main content of the document or application. Only one main element should be used in the document HTML5. So the one below that, grouping element OL, contains an ordered list of items. So the next one is UL contains an unordered list of items, then LI contains a single list. This contains a single item from an ordered list or unordered list. They have a P element, contains the text of a paragraph, and a PRE contains a block of PRE contains a block of pre-formatted text in which line breaks and extra spaces in the code are retained, often displayed in a monospace font. So I guess we could. How many more? I'm just seeing how many more they have. There's one. Then the URL scheme. Okay, so what they have now is text level elements, which they almost have double. It's using text level elements. HTML text level elements. The first one is A, which marks content that acts as a hypertext link. Next element is ABBR, marks an abbreviation or acronym. Next element is B, indicates a span of text to which attention should be drawn. Text usually appears in bold. Next element is BR, represents a line break within the grouping element. Next element is cite. Description is marks a citation to a title or author of a creative work. Text usually appears in italics. So the code marks content that represents. So the next element is code marks content that represents. Computer code text usually appears in a monospace font. Next element is data. So it associates a data value with the marked text with the value attribute providing the value HTML5. The next element is DFN, so it marks a defined term for which a definition is given elsewhere in the document. Next element is EM, indicates content that is emphasized or stressed. So it means emphasized. So text usually appears in italics. The next element is I, indicates a span of text that expresses an alternate voice or mood text usually appears in italics. So KBD marks text that represents user input, typically from a computer keyboard or a voice command. One sec here. So Lisa wants to talk, so I'll be back here in a sec.